Record. Action.
Do you have a light?
I'm here with Terry Collins, who I'm sure a few of you may know. He's made quite a name for himself in the last few years as the head writer, sort of producer and creator of Jack the Dump, which is a hugely successful sitcom at the moment in this country. I'm sure a lot of you have been watching it every Saturday on BBC One. And Terry has just disclosed to us that he's actually announcing his departure from the programme, from the team. He's actually leaving Jack the Dump.
That's right.
And would you care to comment on the perhaps the reason for this decision?
Well, the crew were going in a very different direction than what I had set out to do when I started the programme, because I was one of the forerunners at the very beginning, and I had something very clear in my mind. And to some extent, I think it's my fault, because I think we ran out of ideas. There was no time to do a gradual shift to almost the new format. So we had to very quickly, and I don't like the way they did it, so I thought it would be best to give somebody else a shot, if you see what I mean.
Right, and I'm sure a lot of people might be quite almost deterred from watching the programme at this news. I think a lot of people might maybe assume that as you're leaving the staff, maybe Jack of the Dump will come to an end. What's happening? What's the future for the programme?
I don't think it's fair to say it's likely to come to an end anytime soon. The ratings may lower, if that doesn't sound too arrogant, because I think not necessarily because there's a new, what's his name?
Andrew Matthews.
Well, I've seen some of his plans, and I think not necessarily to discredit him, but I think that the way he's going about it, he's not slowing the change. It's still happening very quickly. It might throw a lot of viewers off.
I think there's actually a phenomenon with a lot of, especially American programs at the moment, that quite often the show might undergo quite an extreme change, and sort of the viewership might dip down, but then as people sort of grow to appreciate the new format, it might increase again. Do you think, I suppose maybe you might want to comment on the controversy that occurred in the last series, the wallet episode.
Wallet.
Yes, there were quite a few concerns about that.
I must admit that was one of the ones that I proposed, because I wanted to take things back to basics, but I wanted to give it a bit of an edge. So that's why the wallet happened. That's why the corpse, But that threw a lot of viewers off in a way that I didn't anticipate, because I thought they had, frankly, more of a sense of humour than I.
Yes.
So I to some extent that's an issue with me being out of touch with the viewers, which is why one of the reasons why I considered leaving a couple of years ago.
Well, what's happening? What's the future for you? Have you got any other projects perhaps you might be working on soon?
I'm going into being a high-class mink collector. Actually, as you can see by this number around my neck at the moment, it's a particularly. I don't actually know what it is, but it's something I picked up out of a skip.
Oh, really? It's
He's tickled. Carry on rolling.
Well, have you got any other ideas, perhaps as sitcoms, or maybe a spin-off, Jack the Dump? A lot of people have voiced quite a warm warmth towards maybe taking one of the side characters from the show and focusing on them, doing a sort of spin-off. That's something that's certainly very popular.
I've heard of that as an idea. I don't think there are any characters for whom it would be viable, because there are many side characters, but I think most of them are only present for an episode or two, if you see what I mean. So to take them, none of them are popular enough that people would immediately associate them with Jack of the Dump, because it would have to go off the success of Jack. So I don't think there are any characters that are immediately recognisable enough to do that with.
Right. Now, I'm just curious here, as very much you've kind of stated that the program is no longer under your control. You've thoroughly sort of disconnected yourself from the franchise. And I'm just wondering, is there, are you going to, firstly, are you going to continue watching what they put out of interest? And also I wonder, is there a point where they might put out something so disagreeable, so contrasting to your original idea that you would go right in there, you'd say, look here, chap, I'm really not pleased with this idea. I'm putting a stop to this.
I think the situation described very nearly happened last year with a particular episode, which actually didn't end up going out, but they did film it, and that's why there was a high anticipated.
What episode was this, perhaps? You could give us a bit of information about it.
Jack effectively, there was a painter painting a lake scene, and Jack went up to him and simply chucked the painting in the water, and I thought it was completely obscene that they would even suggest. I mean, it's when I say it like that, it sounds funny, but it was the whole episode was just him chucking a painting in the water. It's just stupid. It's not even funny.
Sort of inane.
Inane, yes. And
sort
you
of
go with more edge, which is what I was trying to do with the Wallet episode.
I mean, I suppose you could say that about cinema these days. A lot of these films you're seeing coming out, I believe Stanley Kubrick's Clockwork Orange that opened last week, films that are very stark, very violent,
yes.
Sexual. I think perhaps
yes.
maybe that you think that maybe should be reflected in television.
Yes, I absolutely do, because the thing is, it's not like in the 1920s when I was very young. When people go out to the cinema nowadays, occasionally people used to go out every week, but it is not people's main source of. Some people can't even afford to go to the cinema, so it should
Especially
be
with colour televisions.
Yes, well, the thing is, if it's not reflected in the popular media, which is now television, then there will be a divide in society between those who can afford to go to the cinema and those who can afford to watch television. Do you see what I mean? So there'll be a cultural divide whereby these people are, prefer these sorts of stories. These people prefer these sorts of stories, and it's not something.
I agree. I think that the current landscape of the BBC, perhaps, is almost sort of 10 years behind. Some might say,
Yes.
Especially with censorship on television, compared to that of cinema, is quite old-fashioned, perhaps quite. Anyway, I'm afraid, Terry, that's all we've got time for today. We're going to actually try and find Jackie later on today, catch up with him, get his opinion, and we jolly well hope.
Wish him well.
I will, Terry. We hope to jolly well see some more content from you in the next few years. So, thank you for joining us today. Thank you. This was BBC One with Ron Atkinson.